Good morning, my miracle friends. Yet another day begins. As we sit here quietly preparing for the best day of our lives. Rub your hands together and place them over your beautiful, precious beating heart. Give yourself a cheeky smile, a little wink, if you feel like it. And feel the excitement of a new day bubbling up inside. Close your eyes and for a moment turn your attention inwards. Everything we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real. Niels Bohr, Danish physicist and philosopher, 1885 to 1962. This next lesson is one of my all-time favourites. Wait for it. Lesson 10. My thoughts do not mean anything. My thoughts do not mean anything. It's just the best news ever. My thoughts do not mean anything. What a relief. This is so hilarious because I used to think my thoughts were so meaningful and important. This idea applies to all the thoughts of which you are aware or become aware in the practice periods. The reason the idea is applicable to all of them is that they are not your real thoughts. We have made this distinction before and will do so again. You have no basis for comparison as yet. When you do, you will have no doubt that what you once believed were your thoughts did not mean anything. This is the second time we have used this kind of idea. The form is only slightly different. This time the idea is introduced with my thoughts instead of these thoughts. And no link is made overtly with the things around you. The emphasis is now on the lack of reality of what you think you think. This aspect of the correction process began with the idea that the thoughts of which you are aware are meaningless, outside rather than within, and then stressed their past rather than their present nature. Now we are emphasizing that the mere presence of these thoughts means that you are not thinking. This is merely another way of repeating our earlier statement that your mind is really a blank. To recognize this is to recognize nothingness when you think you see it. As such, it is the prerequisite of vision. Close your eyes for these exercises and introduce them by repeating the idea for today quite slowly to yourself. Then add, this idea will help to release me from all that I now believe. The exercises consist, as before, in searching your mind for all the thoughts that are available to you without selection or judgment. Try to avoid classification of any kind. In fact, if you find it helpful to do so, you might imagine that you are watching an oddly assorted procession going by, which has little, if any, personal meaning to you. As each one crosses your mind, say, my thoughts about blank does not mean anything. My thought about blah 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 does not mean anything. Today's thought can obviously serve for any thought that distresses you at any time. In addition, 5 practice periods are recommended, each involving no more than a minute or so of mind searching. It is not recommended that this time period be extended, and it should be reduced to half a minute or less if you experience discomfort. Remember, however, to repeat the idea slowly before applying it specifically, and also to add, "This idea will help to release me from all that I now believe." This exercise will help us to release ourselves from all that we now believe that currently disturbs our peace, starting to, little by little, disarm ourselves from set in stone rigidity, righteous thinking, allowing a more flexible, flowing style of thinking to ensue. Like a tree elegantly dancing in the wind rather than snapping and breaking itself because it's stiff and refuses to bend, we want to be easily swayed. Let yourself really go for it with this one. Honestly, no one cares. Examples such as, "My thoughts about my mother-in-law do not mean anything." "My thoughts about the state of the country or the world do not mean anything." Yay, I feel lighter already. "My thoughts about my annoying ex-partner don't mean anything." "My jittery thoughts about my future don't mean anything." "My thoughts about those a-holes who stole our money 18 years ago don't mean anything." "My thoughts about what people might think of me do not mean anything," etc., etc. "My thoughts about all the stupid things I did in my teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s don't mean anything." This is literally like a striptease dancing session for the mind. Throw it off, give it a big twirl above your head, and throw those meaningless thoughts out one after another. I think you might find it a tiny bit liberating. Let the mind be free and naked of all those meaningless distractions. One of the best things my kids ever said to me when I was trying to tell them something passionately about what I thought about something, they put out their hand and said, "Mum, stop talking." No one cares. Sort of the same thing as these thoughts do not mean anything. Absolute liberation. So go for it with this one. My thoughts do not mean anything. This idea will help to release me from all that I now believe. We're trying to dismantle a thought system based on fear, piece by piece, and reveal the glorious reality. Let's switch the light on. Beloved divine, loving light within us and all around us. The perfect day already exists. Thank you for guiding me and everyone concerned to this. God before us, love before us and love behind us. Love to the left of us and love to the right of us. Love above us and love below us. Love expressed through us. Love emanate from us, touching everyone and everything in the form and the formless with love and peace and blessings. Where would love have us go today? What would love have us do today? What would love have us say or not say today, and to whom? Have an amazing day, my miracle friends.